Hey there, thanks for joining us at the Rabbit Hole of Research, where you'll learn a few facts that you can impress your friends with at a party.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Rabbit Hole of Research. How's everybody doing down here in the basement studio?
Why, hello, Joe. Hello, Georgia. Good seeing you again.
It's always good. We got Nick, as usual.
Hello.
And we got Georgia here, coming back for a little more.
Hey there.
Yeah, so we all have come together in the basement studio for episode 15.
We're actually hunkering down in the basement
We
bunker
are.
today.
That's right.
It's not
This
the
is
basement studio.
no.
It's
It's
the
like
basement
the
bunker today.
It's our bomb shelter.
It's like Air Force One. We changed the call sign to
It's-
the basement bunker.
It's our safe room.
And that's because we're going to be talking about our favorite apocalypses.
And I heard there was a little debate on the title.
Was there?
Yeah, because I really like my favorite apocalypse. I think that sounds really good. But I did see there's a poetry book by that name. But
What did I
think we could
suggest? I
really-
can't remember.
You said apocalypse.
Wow.
Oh,
I forgot about that.
and then I thought
Yeah.
we could argue about that.
And next time, he's already done. He's like, you win. I'm out.
Listen,
Okay.
it's the wow factor. But it
Apocalypse
also,
Wow, it does sound. And it has a riff off of Apocalypse Now. So.
with Owen Wilson as the cover art, it would be, oh, wow, Apocalypse, wow.
Okay,
I forgot
all
about
right.
the whole idea.
All
right,
right.
right. That's,
We can
Oh,
figure
wow.
that
yeah.
out.
Yeah, we're about to do some art there, Georgia, for that.
I know. I have to actually do something.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just want to set the scene. Apocalypse, we all know them, we all love them.
Hey, how about we, clean up a little bit? What are you drinking over there, buddy?
Oh yeah, I know the beer's here. So I tried to get some that kind of had a apocalyptic feel, and I was looking for La Fin du Monde, which is
Which
like one
is
of my
like my favorite.
favorite beer, but I couldn't find it, so I had to get step down a little bit into some other delicious beers. So I have haze
Necessarily
between.
down.
Oh, no, not down.
across.
Just it's a lot like a lateral move. Destiel Brewery. It's their IPA Deadhead series, and this is the haze between. Yeah. Oh my.
And I got Impending Doom. West Coast style DIPA.
A DIPA.
I'm also drinking that, but as well as that, I'm also drinking Liquid Death Mango Chainsaw.
Whatever it is.
Not sponsored, but
What was that?
it is delicious.
No, I mean, just hit us up if you want to.
I mean, I'm
We'll do
always
it.
down to drink some
Yeah,
Liquid
and,
Death.
and folks who are getting into it, don't forget, drop us some stars, give us those 5 stars. I know you love us. And yeah, if you have ideas for episodes, we are very receptive to that type of thing. So let us know. Or even, yes, if you want to come on and join the conversation, we will welcome you with open arms. And
if you want to
That's
watch
kind of
Joe
creepy.
play some video games, we might get
Oh,
that
boy.
started soon.
I know you were talking about some Discord channel. I mean, that's
Yeah. We
we're
gotta
moving forward here in
All right,
episode
all right.
15.
Okay, come on.
All
we
right,
need-
all right.
We
Let's
don't
get back
have
to
all-
apocalypse.
We don't have all day. The
Yeah.
Earth,
We'll have
the
that all
world
in
could
the footnotes.
the world could be ending, so
So-
we better get going on this.
So
Okay.
I had the apocalypses. I got 8 categories.
Oh,
And you
damn.
guys can add or subtract, or we can argue about it. But I have zombie,
Yep.
vampire, meteor.
I don't know. I'd
Alien
like
invasion?
to argue with that.
Well, let me finish the list.
What?
Disease, natural disasters, climate change. And natural disasters would be earthquakes, volcanoes. Climate change would be changing weather patterns, rising seas, hurricanes. Nuclear war and technological catastrophes, a la The Matrix, or Terminator.
Yeah, I was thinking more
Yeah,
Terminator
yeah.
for that. Like,
Yeah, I would argue. I don't. Is vampire really an apocalypse?
Well, I mean, I
don't
have-
know.
I think you can make an argument. You have movies and books like The Strain, which was based on Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan's novel. You have The Passage by Justin Cronin. I Am Legend by Richard Matheson, which then, Will Smith did it, and Charleston Heston on
Wait a
Mega Man.
second.
So those are Fair.
Those were they were vampires because I think in the Will Smith movie they were zombies.
the I Am
but they
Legend
couldn't
story.
go out in the sun.
Yeah, they couldn't come out in the sun.
You're
And
right.
the Richard Matheson, they were vampire. I mean, vampire creatures, and so they couldn't come out in the sun and things like that.
Oh,
and
I
Omega
just
Man
thought of
also with
something.
Charleston Heston, they couldn't do that. You know, you had this, and you have that war, human versus vampire. Anne Rice, The Vampire Chronicles, Jonathan
I
Mulberry,
guess.
and V
I just
Wars.
don't know
So
if I'd put
you know,
vampire to the
it's pretty apocalyptic.
I mean, it can be.
I feel like they would end up having to farm us. Like, legit, if there's no humans, then who are they going to drink? Like, they would have to
Yeah.
have
Right.
human
Can you
farms.
drink a
and-
vampire's blood to keep it going?
Well,
No.
they have, if you're lesser, your subjects as the master vampire. I don't know the correct vampire
like,
folks.
like Kiefer in
in Lost Boys, right?
Yeah.
Then they can feed off, or Blade, they did it, and Blade, Wesley Snipes, the comics. I mean, you know. So, Apocalypse, an event involving destruction or damage on an awesome or catastrophic scale.
Yeah,
You know, what do you got?
No, I have that definition, but it comes right. Apocalypse was actually a Greek word meaning revelation.
Right. That's the book
Right.
of Revelation.
So it comes right from the Bible.
Yeah. Or Apocalypse could be one of the first mutants. Yep. So it is. There it is. From the Marvel universe. Gotta give Marvel some love on
Always.
every episode.
Every episode. Thank you, Disney, for sponsoring us today.
Yeah, right.
So vampires, you do have this impending catastrophic event. If you have
Catastrophe.
a bunch of
Never mind.
from Christmas in Connecticut, the
Okay, yeah.
reference, yes.
Yes, I'm sorry. I won't reference
Yeah.
any
Wait, that's-
happy-go-lucky Christmas
I mean, we're
movies.
still in summertime here, and you're breaking out the Christmas movies, so let's do it. So yeah, so what do you guys think of that list? So
I think that's a pretty good
besides
list.
vampires, on it.
I think vampires would be the only one that would
I
be
think
like,
I'd argue a little bit for like earthquake and stuff, because I guess I'm wondering how global is apocalypse? You know what I mean? Like, I hate to say it, but if a horrible earthquake happened in California, it
like,
would
right.
be a really catastrophic thing, and it would be like the end of the world, especially for people in California. But is that at that level?
I think it would have to be one earthquake that was like, oh, it's cracking from one side of the earth to the other. It wouldn't be
Right.
just like
I mean,
oh, it's like a little earthquake.
I don't know, cracking the earth in half.
No, it would have to
But
go
I
to
think
the
you
car.
have tectonic plates that are sliding against each other, and then you have fault lines. One could see that you could have a chain reaction of faults
Right.
there, that you
Right.
could have one big one, but you could have a series of catastrophic earthquakes and things like that.
Well, I think of that movie 2012,
right.
Yes.
because wasn't there earthquakes, but they were kind of happening all over?
I believe that is true. Yes, that's what happened.
There was all kinds of things.
Right,
and the
right,
earthquakes
right.
caused hurricanes, and the sea levels rose. And
Yeah, it was pretty.
But you could have maybe volcano was also in there, and so you have
Mhm.
your super volcanoes around, which if they
Mhm.
erupt, they would have catastrophic effect locally, but they also would spew debris into the air, kind of covering the sun. We could have a drop in temperature, which then could trigger other things, besides this famine and all sorts of problems like that. But you could actually change weather patterns and have that happen along with it. So you would just have this cascading effect that it starts out with one of these types of apocalypses, but then it will merge into other ones, because if you start to collapse society in any way, then you give openings for famine, you give openings for violence, you give openings for disease. And so then you have this kind of just this cascade of events that then the initial one, you might go, it's not big enough to be, or it wasn't felt worldwide at first. But if you take out a major economic center like California, that's going to have worldwide ramifications that could trigger other downstream events that would feel very apocalyptic, right?
by the way, where would drought fall on this list? Like a worldwide drought? Would it be on climate change? Because I was because that was what started Mad Max's.
Yes,
I
right.
think water is a big thing in a
Like,
lot of
Yeah.
stories.
Yeah. Well, was it Mad Max? Was that nuclear war that started it? Was that the?
I don't remember. It's
I think it was a
been a
nuclear
minute. I
conflict.
just know that.
And then that,
And that's the thing.
right?
A lot of the movies we love, are not necessarily apocalyptic, they're post-apocalyptic.
That's right,
Like how
yeah,
we're dealing with it after. I don't know if that's
Yeah,
a
usually don't go
distinction.
through. Well, I mean, day
Some
after
of them
tomorrow, and you go
actually
through
talk about
the
the
events.
actual,
Right.
or you have something like
Yeah.
A Quiet Place where it wasn't about the event, and now they're doing a prequel, which will be about what happened at the time.
A Quiet Place, that was aliens.
Okay, so I just don't want to really like depress the hell out of everyone.
Why not? That is
But-
what we're here for.
Okay,
We are
Well,
here
That's why we
to
have
make-
I wonder how much of this is actually I don't know how much of this is actually pop culture and fiction, because I went to the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists,
Yeah.
and you've heard of the
Ah,
Doomsday
yes.
Clock.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know, but a moment of historic danger, it is still 90 seconds
Mhm.
to midnight. And so the scientists, they didn't change it from 90 seconds. That's what it was for 2024. They didn't change it, but they said, don't let that make you feel better. It's equally as bad, and it's really horrible. And it says, ominous trends continue to point the world toward global catastrophe. The war in Ukraine and the widespread and growing reliance on nuclear weapons increase the risk of nuclear escalation. And it goes on, and it is extremely depressing.
And the Doomsday Clock, it was designed to be
A warning.
a warning to the public.
And do you
it
think
was,
anyone...
and it was first created in 1947 by Martel Langsdorff, who was the wife, or married to the physicist Alexander Langsdorff, who actually worked on the Manhattan Project at the University of Chicago. And so that was kind of the start of it. And then just to, we talk about how close it was. I think we're at one of the closest points, or during the Cold War, I think it might have got a bit closer. But in 1991, we had 17 minutes. That was the furthest away.
Is that
was
the
at
furthest away?
That was the close of the Cold War.
Oh, wow.
Kind of ended,
So
and
when
we
it
signed
started,
the Strategic Arms
you said
Reduction
it started
Treaty.
in the 40s?
47, yeah,
So what did
1947.
it start with? Do you know the number it
Well, I
started?
actually
It
don't
was
know that.
60
Yeah.
Oh,
seconds
okay.
Might have throw that
midnight.
into the show notes.
Yeah,
there.
I'm
Yep,
curious
yep.
how much
Yeah.
that was different than 17. And that
Yeah.
is a hell of a lot different than 90 seconds.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure it
Oh,
wasn't. I'm sure in
MG.
1947 it wasn't 17 minutes, because it was.
Right,
We were in the
right.
middle. Arms race was just
Right.
the Cold
World
War
War
was just kicking
II.
off, right?
I don't know. I mean, we had just
We
had
just finished World War II, right.
So we were, yeah. And then these are just some of the things that they base it on. Biological threats, the dangers of AI, and climate change, nuclear weapons.
You probably don't have this
destructive
offhand, but
technologies.
where were we at during COVID?
Exactly.
Like-
yeah.
Were they like, all right, this is going to be it? This is how this
That
is
is
the human
really-
race?
So I'll say
extinct.
this here is that the original clock setting in 1947 was 7 minutes to midnight,
Okay.
and it's been moved
And now we're
backwards
at 90
and
seconds.
8 times and forward 17 times. And as I said, the furthest time from midnight was 17 minutes in 91, and the nearest is 90 seconds, which was set in January of 2023.
Yeah, I think you're right, Nick, because when COVID was happening, especially at the beginning, and everybody's running out like trying to get toilet
So I'll-
paper, and
Yeah.
just it felt crazy. I think
Oh,
that
it
was the
felt apocalyptic.
that was the closest to feeling like what's gonna go on,
But
like
you had
what-
that. You had that.
But yeah,
No, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, but then I actually really enjoyed this. I enjoyed not having to go to work.
Well, you enjoyed it. I actually got sick.
I did
sickness there,
too,
so,
but like it was great. Not just like, it was a very chill
I still
time
had.
for
I
me.
mean, I still had to go in because I was designated. I had the letter from
Right,
whoever,
necessary or
yeah,
no,
yeah.
crucial,
crucial
no.
employee or valuable. I don't know. Essential, yeah, essential. That's it. So I was driving up through the streets like Charleston Heston, going.
Well, Michelle was too, and
it
she was like, you could just
nobody.
speed
Yeah, right. Yeah.
down those roads.
Yeah.
No one
I was
gave
on
a
Stony
shit.
And
Island,
a lot
and
of
I'm
people
going,
think
and
that it's
we're,
still
yeah. So 2020, it was set 100 seconds to midnight. So yeah.
Oh,
that's
so
what it
we're a
was.
little lower now.
We're a little. No, we're closer
I mean,
to
a
midnight.
little
That's right.
closer,
Yep,
which-
yep, a little closer to
no,
midnight.
wrong way.
You're going wrong. But I was going to say that COVID, it reminds you of. I said this in the other episode that I usually read The Stand every year or a couple years, and that's a total disease. You know, it was a bio weapon that got loose. And during COVID, it had that feel that we were in some sort of, you know, apocalyptic, the pre-apocalyptic, as George said, the pre-apocalyptic kind of time where we have this thing that's out of control. Everyone's freaking out. You know, people believe it, some people don't. And I was following a lot of science. I was going to some of the meetings that were happening where they were talking about it. And how prepared are we for a real catastrophic event, apocalyptic kind of level? Is humanity right? I think it was like a test. And I don't know if we did that well. I mean, we all made it, but that's because COVID.
Well, a lot of
I
people,
think we
a
got
lot
a
of-
solid
you know,
D.
I know, and I think a lot of people.
You're being generous, I think. No,
and
I don't.
And
yeah,
I have to say, a lot of people didn't make it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
Like-
so that's too.
And
really
the sad thing
but-
now is that I think a lot of people, if someone got on the news today and was like, hey, there's the XYZ strain of, let's say, measles, which there's some bad strains of measles that just break out. I think people will just go about their day and be like, oh, well, whatever. And it'll be like contagion until people are like piling up dead in the streets before people go,
I
oh,
think
you know
a lot
what?
of people
I should have
are
listened
like,
to that because
I
I
am
think
not
now.
going to wear a mask
Right,
again.
that's right. No, I'm not
what
gonna-
It's against my will of living.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, honestly, we all know that Joe didn't care about it. Like, he had his country living book. He was
I
sad.
did. Until I got sick. I said that. That's like, you know, I was ready to go, man. We were dug in. Like, we were there. We had food growing. Yeah, we were. It was
He
like,
was
felt
ready
sick,
for
so.
this. He
So-
was thriving. It was.
I'm ready for zombies, man. That's what I want. Like we did that zombie episode a little bit ago. That's what I'm really prepared for. The other ones, because on the list that I read, my list, I'm gonna leave vampires on there. Really, like if it's a meteor, you're kind of screwed. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
there's
gonna be bad times. Alien invasion.
Well, I think,
You know.
yeah, I think that brings up a really crucial point. Is the apocalypse related to something that we can control,
Right.
or is it totally out of our control?
So
unless
I'm
we
gonna
get
go
the
with
space
this.
cowboys, and they'll you know.
Exactly, like Armageddon. we
Armageddon,
can
yeah.
like fix
Most
it
of
at
these
the,
things,
you know.
I don't think we can. It's going to be
Yeah.
like us here in this bunker down here.
That's
We
right.
can't do shit about it.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Yeah.
a very
it's just
like.
sad
Well,
because that's
that's what I was saying.
Like-
though. I think if you have some of these, like vampires, one could fight
Right.
back or
Right.
develop with the
Or
tools
zombies.
or weapons or zombies. You can, like, Mayor Grant does that in the Feed series, where it's post-apocalyptic. Walking Dead got to that point where they were making a turn. The zombies became this background noise to humans making their way and
But
rebuilding their
I
system.
think you're right though. Like zombies and like vampires and things like that are very much like lore and like very fictional in
right,
my
that's
mind.
right.
Even though you talk about like you do your science lectures about some of
Yep.
the
Yeah,
But-
making a zombie. We just talked. No fast zombies though. You know, you
But-
guys know how I feel about fast zombies.
But I think we're able to watch those movies or talk about those things because it seems very fictional to us. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
when it gets too close to home, that's when it's like,
Right.
Well, yeah. And then it's like a nuclear war. That's just knocking at our back
Right.
door constantly.
right. Well, that's
Like,
like
with our
what the-
political China.
That's what that Doomsday
Yeah.
Clock is
Yeah.
all about. So
And then yet, I mean, in 80, you might, I mean, folks out there might remember. I don't want to age anybody, but in 83,
Hello.
we had that show the day after. Remember that?
the day
Oh,
after.
yeah.
was
I
that-
totally
That was
remember
new.
that.
Yeah. In 83, you were watching that.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking
I
out.
think you caught the rerun.
Yeah, it was a
It
whole.
was a TV movie.
Yeah, it was a TV movie. It was set in.
You know what TV movies are, do
Right.
you?
Of course I do. I watched the Disney Channel.
And it was set in Lawrence, Kansas, and it was depicting residents after a nuclear war. And so it was one of these things. And at the time, I guess a lot of sponsors pulled out, advertisers,
a
and
big
then
deal.
they went on, I think it was ABC. I didn't look that up, but I think it was ABC or CBS. They just went ahead and aired it like as a commercial free kind of thing and went. I remember watching that, and I was eight-ish or 9. I mean, I was right at that.
And
Jen,
where
it
were
was-
we, like, okay, with the Cold War in 83? Like,
Well, the Cold War didn't until 91 is the
right.
official
So I
end.
think
So we
that
were in
was
the
like,
middle of it. Yes.
I think that was
yes,
like kind of the,
yes.
the like height of that.
Right.
Like, I just remember that song by Sting about hoping that the Russians loved their children. Do you remember?
No, I
Do you
don't
remember that song? Oh, I'm not going to even try to sing it.
No, go for it. We're gonna have it queued up.
Yeah.
For the musical track.
like,
We're gonna have that in the
Just
show
with the
notes.
Doomsday Clock, then when that movie came out in '84, it was 3 minutes to midnight.
Yeah.
So, at the height, kind of maybe at the height of the Cold War, we were there.
I do remember that was a really big deal.
Yeah.
And then, of course, then it became like the Berlin Wall coming down, but that wasn't.
Because that '84 was right when the Star Wars program, I believe, was announced, where they were going to make anti-ballistic missiles from space.
Not Obi-Wan.
Oh no, not Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's not it.
Yeah, so I looked a little bit at why are we into apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic stories, movies, and I did find an article which this is on the Northwestern site, and it says post-apocalyptic The Last of Us could be HBO's next hit show. So this was, published a while ago. But why do we love stories about the end of the world? And it's pretty interesting. And it talks about, at first, these stories were often religious and didactic and meant to impart a specific lesson, the Book of Revelations. But then now they've really moved into sci-fi and fantasy, and they're also effective ways of examining essential human traits in dramatic ways. And basically a thought process of what would you do?
Right.
Almost like a training for, and I think making you feel better because you go, God, things are really bad, but they're not like The Last of Us bad.
But also explores, a lot of times they explore humanity, that even when you have these bad things, people parse out into folks who are going to be cooperative and then people aren't. And in the movie, you hope they're going to get theirs. And then you have the folks that band together and they make it. And you go, okay, that's, we will do that. When push come to shove, when it's us versus the aliens that come with their kinetic bombardment, we're ready to go. We're ready to, pull ourselves up and fight back.
It's like Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. There's always people coming together to help each other in these times. But I
feel
think
there's
it's interesting
also still a lot of people that are like, all right, well, I'm in it for me. Like,
that's true. I think it brings out either the best or the worst in people.
And you
maybe.
see that in all these shows. And another show that came out after this article was written was Fallout. Like,
I want to see that. I haven't seen it yet.
I watched the first 2 episodes and I'm
hooked. Is it really good? Oh my gosh, I am totally wanted to watch. And then I wanted to watch it without Joe, but I waited. Sorry.
Honestly, it's a really good show. Like, even the video games that it's adapting, you get these quests of like, all right, you can either do the right thing or the wrong thing, but you don't know what is which. You're going off of how these people have spoken to you and like what their motives are. You're trying to figure it out. Sometimes you're just on the wrong side and like
and
you figure this out after the end.
That's the way things are today with all this like quote fake news or all this social media. Like, how do you know what is the right message? What is the truth? So I think that gets at that too.
I think morality becomes blurred at that point. It's what is best for you and your people then.
Especially if you're trying to survive in something that we are not very prepared for.
Yeah, and in The Last of Us, they did what? That one group was just eating the dead. Or
that's right,
they killed each other they turned into cannibals.
You're right. I mean, you need food. I mean, so you go, how do we eat? How do we survive? And you get down to it to become zombies.
Yeah. But the question is, how do you go on? It's the end of the world. I mean, it could be the end of your world too. I mean,
that gets to the point, do you want to go on, right? I mean, I think if we hit an apocalyptic event, you probably have a lot of people who would just check out and go, you know what, it's not worth it.
That's what I say when I watch some of those shows is like, why would you even want to be a survivor? And then,
but you also the human condition, you want to live.
Desire
you want to live. You want to protect, especially if you have kids or family or are vulnerable with you. Then I think just once again the human nature takes over and it's like, let's be a protector and kind of go out and do that. But I figure if you have no real family you care about or whatever, you might just go, you know what?
And I mean, like, going back to The Last of Us, Joel, he lost his daughter, day zero of
Hours,
it.
That's right, yeah.
And like to see him go on at all was just like, holy shit, man. Like, that would be heartbreaking.
That's right. Yeah.
You-
I don't know if
he-
you would think straight. Like you would
like-
probably do reckless things.
Which he
and that-
did.
Right.
And,
Right,
and
right. I
that's,
think
that's
that's
what the whole thing of that was. Him and his brother were doing terrible things. And
Right.
they kept going on. Finally, his brother was like, all right, I'm done doing this shit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he thought he joined the right cause, which was the Fireflies.
Right.
Which he was like, all right, this
okay,
one
no
isn't right
spoilers.
for me.
I know.
No spoilers.
Oh, no, I'm
That's
not
less than
spoiling.
20 years old, so we can't spoil it.
You
Yeah.
did-
Yeah.
Wait, no, it's less than 20, so I can spoil
Yeah.
it, right? Like,
No, remember he said he could spoil the Day of the Triffids because it was like 1950 something. And I argue
That is
with
true,
that.
yes.
It's a spoiler or is it a spoiler?
I put it in it's in the show notes, and I warn people, go watch the movie. It's a good movie.
Okay.
You know, a friend who I work with, he had a great point that if the spoiler ruins the movie, then maybe it wasn't that good of a movie.
I don't know if that's true because
And
there's movies or shows, and I have perfect examples,
I'm paraphrasing what he said, so he'll
shows
probably yell
and
at me at work.
movies
Like, that's not what I said.
that the spoiler is, okay, like this is totally not apocalyptic. Oh,
And you're going to give a spoiler.
I was
Just
gonna give
prove
a
your point
spoiler.
of the spoiler.
okay, I'm not going to get...
I see dead people.
That's the that's
But
what
it's
I
still,
was going to
even
say.
if you,
It's that movie and know that spoiler.
I think even if you know that
You
fact,
might,
it's still a good.
but
I mean,
it's
I've watched it since then, and I'm like,
right,
oh, this is a good
but
movie.
it's
I
not
mean,
the same, and I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah.
Please take that part out.
I'm not taking anything out. You spoil it. It's look who's here, right here.
I think it was Nick that actually
People
spoiled
that,
it.
that live in glass
I thought that
houses.
was you doing a really bad impersonation of
Yeah.
me.
No.
Yeah.
So I think just on the amount, of time and how much time we have left,
You're good.
I don't know. But are we
I
gonna?
still got beer, so we're.
Are
we're
we
good.
talking about? Are we gonna give our favorite apocalypse or how?
Oh, what kind of apocalypse do you want
know, right?
to survive in?
Well, I mean, I was kind of getting to that point that.
I'm sorry. Did I?
Joe wants zombies.
Oh, no,
we all
you're
Did
fine.
know
I-
this.
The conversation went some way, and now we're swinging back. But yeah, no, I guess you could break this down into two questions. One, what's your favorite apocalypse to watch and be entertained by? Because that's a little different than where we're going to get to. But yeah, let's start there on a
Wait.
livelier note.
Wait.
So yes,
Don't
that means
you
you can
also
take
have
the,
to
you can
go
take
with...
the zombies to the Arctic with you because that's where you're headed.
Well, no, like, do you also have to take into consideration the ramification of, like...
No, it's just enjoyment. This is 100%.
Okay.
Are you saying we're picturing ourselves in an
No, this
apocalypse?
is you're just enjoying.
Or I just really love Pedro, and I want to watch every
Yeah,
episode
right,
of
exactly.
The Last of Us.
Oh,
What-
I
what's
thought we
your
were going to go with,
favorite-
I want to go cuddle with Pedro.
Oh, wait for the second
So-
season.
oh my God.
Although I heard it's really,
Yeah,
really depressing.
yeah.
But anyway, that
I'm
wasn't
not going to
first
spoil
season
that for
was.
you.
even going to be my favorite. But
I'm not
you
going to
made me
spoil The
think
Last
of
of
it.
Us for you.
Yeah,
I'm
please
so sorry.
don't. Do not spoil it. But I know the second season is going to be hard.
All right, so yeah,
But I'm not. Don't spoil.
so entertainment here. That's pure entertainment. You got your popcorn, you got your soda, you got your beer, you got your
Pop up
junior
movie
mints,
in the summer.
the pop-up movies out in the yard. We're just going to throw on your favorite apocalyptic movie or a book too, right? They kind of go together. But yeah, that favorite thing. You go, I want to read it or watch a good apocalyptic movie.
I think I'll say well, I refreshed my memory because before this episode,
Did you
I mean,
wash your
before we-
brain?
last night when I went to sleep, when I was getting ready to talk about my favorite apocalypse. Wow.
Why hasn't Owen Wilson been in an apocalypse movie yet?
Are you sure he hasn't?
Actually, they're going to remake Apocalypse Now and recall it Apocalypse Wow. Starring Owen Wilson.
Okay, I was going to say Twilight Zone. And there's like a handful of episodes that are just so good. Oh my gosh. And they really okay, so of course, and again, I can't do a spoiler, but the guy that loved to read and there was the nuclear war.
Oh, everyone already did.
I don't know.
Which one?
I'm pretty sure
Oh,
Joe
right, yeah,
spoiled
right,
that like
yeah,
What's
two
that one
episodes
called?
ago.
There's never enough time or something
like that, right?
Joe,
And
you
then-
spoiled that one.
Have you
I
guys?
didn't. It's older than 20 years, so you're good to go.
And then have you seen the one called Midnight Sun?
Maybe. Well, probably. I mean, I don't know the
So
title.
it's
Yeah,
like-
right.
These two women, and they're in like a New York apartment, and it's getting hotter and hotter. And like at one point you don't know how bad it is, but then at one point the woman looks out the window and it's like the total like a Mega Man, where the one car's crashed on the side and there's no like it's abandoned.
I mean, so what apocalyptic genre is this? One is nuclear.
She just went Twilight Zone.
Right, you just said Twilight Zone. Like this.
I can't just give Twilight Zone my favorite apocalypse.
What?
Right, I don't know. That's Twilight Zone. The news comes on. Twilight Zone. Get to the bunker. Like, no, you got to give, I mean.
Do I like to watch?
Yeah, which genre? What class of apocalypse?
They have the climate thing.
That's just a cheat. That's like they have all 8. Like I gave 8, 9 different categories.
Mine is video games.
Yeah, it's right. It's just like
You have all 8, but they have climate. They have the sun. Their
they got
Earth is getting
disease.
closer
They
to
got
the sun.
probably a media. I mean,
I prefer the media genre.
They have this one called Shelter, where
see.
one family makes the bomb shelter, and
they're all leaning towards nuclear.
Everybody is so upset because he's making all this noise, making this concrete bunker, and when shit's going down, those neighbors want to get into that bunker.
All right, but the question was.
She just likes media apocalypse.
My favorite apocalypse.
I love the Twilight Zone.
All right, let's move on. But hold on, I want to get. Hold on, Owen Wilson, No Escape.
No escape.
No escape. They went overseas, and then they found themselves in the middle of like a coup in this kind of world coup kind of event, and so that's maybe apocalyptic-esque. It could escalate, but it probably was local to just the country.
Yeah.
But that was one where it was close, so I didn't see that. But
I like zombies.
I like turtles.
I like The Last of Us and Walking Dead and stuff. I like zombies.
Zombies. Okay.
I think I'd have to go nuclear.
Nuclear.
Like
nuclear.
Especially
Nuclear.
if you're talking Twilight Zone.
Just because everything that can happen after the fact
Yeah.
is what happens to the animals, what happens to the
Yeah.
Earth itself. Like,
Did you watch Chernobyl?
I've not.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah?
Really good. Yeah.
And
Yeah, check
just
that
to
out.
make a little tie-in, the guy that wrote The Last of Us for the HBO
Wrote
show.
Chernobyl.
Yes. And
I
it's
knew
so
that. And
good.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'll have to check that out. I
Yeah.
kind of forgot about that one.
Yeah,
not even
really
gonna
well
lie.
done. And yeah, I think it was really well researched, well put together. It was excellent. Even talking to some scientists, they said, yeah, it was fairly, did a good job.
But
So,
yeah, I really do think like that one has the most to explore. Like,
And technically, I think you can have the post-apocalypse because you can survive a nuclear war if you're in the right shelter. You know what I'm saying?
right place. I mean, yeah,
I
you could
mean-
be in the
So-
wrong place, wrong time, and you're
Because
just done.
I think if it's like Meteor, like Don't Look Up. I mean, if a meteor
Right.
hits,
I mean, yeah, but
nobody's gonna survive.
no, I mean,
Right?
life goes on. I mean,
life finds a way.
yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah,
it'll
life
be.
without people.
I think it'll be. Well, that might be true, but I think it'll be a hard time, right? I mean, I think it after.
I think it'd be a horribly hard time with the radiation and everything else.
Well, right. I mean, nuclear, right? You have the radiation, but a meteor. I mean, it depends on where it hits. You're right. The sky's going to darken. I mean, it's going to be. I mean, it's not going to be fun. Like, it's not like the fun
Your
apocalypse.
shit's getting wrecked.
That's right. Yeah. No, that's not the fun apocalypse. That's we're going to dig in and work at it apocalypse. But
is that the fun one to watch? See,
It's no Twilight Zone, okay?
Right, yeah,
I'm sorry,
right,
George.
Right.
There is a difference, obviously.
No. I think if you're just talking pure fun, I'm gonna split it between. I almost got a tie, but I have the tiebreaker, and I'm gonna start with the one that's second place, and I think alien invasion movies are they're fun. I mean, they're designed,
Peace.
right, and Independence Day, World War. I mean, you have
Mars Attacks.
Mars Attacks, and it's just kind of a fun thing, and you get to explore a lot of stuff. Humanity, people banding together,
Right, because
one last stand.
There are the other.
And it's actually, I think it represents something that if aliens came, an intelligent life arrived here at Earth, I don't think they're going to be friendly. I think they're coming here to mix it up, and they're going to be technologically superior because I mean they can travel intergalactically. We cannot. And I think once they arrive, I don't want to humanize the aliens, but let's think of humans when we're technologically superior and we go somewhere else. We act like we're friendly, but really it's like, we want your land, we want your gold,
your resources,
your
your
some reason you're
people
going
for
there. So I
work.
think it's, if they show up, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to hear this podcast. They're going to be like, man, we're going to prove that Joe wrong. Great. I'll be the first to admit I was wrong, but I don't think I am.
I think about animated movie. Is it Terra?
The Battle for Terra?
Yeah.
Right.
Weren't they good? Didn't they?
No, I mean, it was like an Avatar. Like humans went there. We just, we're technologically
it was
superior.
like a colonization.
Right, yeah. We're going to, right. I mean, it's like,
Pocahontas all over again. But honestly, anytime I think of like alien movies, I think of a joke by Dan Mitz, who plays Tina Belcher in Bob's Burgers. Highly recommend just Googling that. And it is, I'm not going to retell
remind
this
me,
joke
we'll put it in the show notes. Let me know.
Obviously, I'm not going to retell this joke. Come on. That's,
No, don't do that.
That's
Don't
not
put it in the
right.
show
Is
notes.
that
Just
like
send
a
it to me.
spoiler?
I don't know.
No, it's just, don't
That's
do
just,
It's just not
it's
good.
All right,
not going to be
I'm a-
delivered the same.
I got to give the drum roll here. Drum roll from I think
Okay, yeah. What's number one?
Bum,
everyone knows who
dun,
listens.
dun.
It's
Oh
zombies.
God,
Ba-dum.
that was
Zombies.
so obvious.
I love, I mean, I just think zombies, yeah. They're the bee's knees.
I love me some zombies.
A zombie. Yeah, no, I do. No, I mean, starting with Romero, Night of the Living Dead, just go through. You can hit all of the themes that we've been talking about all night.
But I don't think they had them on Twilight Zone.
No, they probably did not. No zombies.
I guess that was,
Maybe they did. I
that
don't
was
know.
pre-Romero.
It was, but they had like the voodoo zombies.
Not
I mean,
true.
they've also redone
Yeah, of course. There's the
Twilight Zone.
there's the
Jordan Peele did.
Jordan Peele, which I heard mixed reviews, and I actually haven't checked those out.
I haven't checked him out, but I just love Jordan Peele. So
I love him, but yeah, but nothing is like the original.
Right. No, I think you had, I mean, I think zombies are just it, but
I mean, with apocalyptic ones, with like, you can get zombies.
There are nuclear war zombies.
So just saying, I got the
You
best
can-
of all worlds. Thank you.
you can combine it.
right. Yeah, I think Twilight Zone did do the voodoo zombie.
Oh, they did.
Episode,
Okay, can
yeah.
you tell me
Yeah.
what number that was?
I don't know.
I can read the show notes. It's
Yeah,
okay.
you go check
You're
out the
gonna-
show notes. Do you read the show notes?
Sometimes.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
yell at me.
maybe-
when you're not
Maybe I
there.
just double check that you put the right things in the show notes.
Yeah, that's it, right.
George
No,
is
it's,
our fact checker.
That's right. It's
Mainly,
actual
she just-
factual. Actual factual.
Right.
She has a hell of
yeah.
a time with whenever.
Season 5, episode 32. Mr. Garrity and the Graves.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Now,
there it
did
is.
you
That's it.
realize season 5, I believe, but I'm not positive, but I think it was season 5 is the last season of Twilight Zone. And this is when they went from being half-hour shows to being hour shows. And a lot of people said that, like, they kind of lost some quality when they went to an hour. Like, it was like when they were constrained to 30 minutes, it was actually. So it's interesting. Yeah. But thank you. What was it?
Mr.
5?
Garrity and the Graves. Yeah,
Okay.
season 5, episode 32.
Okay, great. You know what? Twilight Zone has every category.
There you go.
Creepy dolls, everything.
Is that Apocalypse? Creepy
I can't
Dolls?
wait till we hit that one.
I don't think
Ooh,
Creepy Dolls.
I don't think creepy doll is a
Yeah, I
category.
don't think so. All right,
no,
so
but it's cool.
I
so we
can't
got
wait
our
till we get that
favorite
episode.
apocalypse that we enjoy watching. Is that the same apocalypse you want to be in? Like you're in
I
it.
guess you'd rather not be in any of
No,
them.
you're
right?
going to be in apocalypse.
You can't get out of
Right,
this
you
one,
can't. This
Georgia.
is like Twilight Zone. You're in it.
Honestly, if there was any apocalypse that I think I can survive, it would probably be like a zombie one. Like,
Zombie one. Your katana and the chicken.
yeah, I'm gonna be carrying around a
Katana.
katana. I
Don't
got
know
my
like you-
katana over here.
You got to listen to the zombie episode, and you'll get filled right in on what we're laughing about here.
Well, I was actually thinking of a Twilight Zone episode. Never mind.
But yeah, like
With the chicken?
No, with a how do you say it? Katana.
Don't ask me. I say it wrong all the time. Every other time I say
But
it
it was
wrong.
actually the only Twilight Zone that didn't air because they thought it was too controversial.
oh, interesting.
With a
Anyway,
katana?
it did-
Katana?
yes.
Katana?
Yes.
Katana.
Katana?
It's,
Katini?
I forget the name
Someone's
of it.
gonna yell at us soon.
It'll be in the show notes.
What
Yeah.
episode is this? Number 15?
It is 15, that's right.
Yeah, this is
Number
where we get
15.
canceled, Joe.
That's right.
They pull the plug on the whole
I know,
basement.
they cannot. The basement studio, we're in the bunker here.
I mean,
I don't know what's like zombies. I mean, I enjoy it, and I was joking that I think I probably could do okay with the zombie apocalypse if I don't get bit or eaten right at the jump.
As long as they're not fast zombies.
And have
You
a
can
fast
kind of
zombie.
you can kind of just stick
Yeah,
to the
that's
rules
right.
of Zombieland. Like
Yeah, that's true. Yes. Yeah.
that one is
Yeah.
laid out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what Max Brooks also has How to Survive
How to
the
survive
Zombie
a zombie
Apocalypse.
which everyone should read, because if you read that, you're kind of prepared for just
Anything,
Life in general.
catastrophes, right?
everything.
Yeah, no, it's like have bottled water, and
oh,
it's just some
that
practical
reminds me
facts
that
there.
like the was it the CDC? They put out all these like little, public service announcements, like it was a zombie.
Yeah, right.
And
That's
then
right.
they said what you need to do to prepare. But it was actually, just what you needed to do to prepare in general.
Yeah.
But they were trying to make it,
Fun.
yeah.
I think a lot.
Fun
I mean,
apocalypse.
Dangerous.
Right,
Let's do
right.
some jokes.
I just think a lot of these, your odds are surviving, like technological catastrophe. I mean, the machines rise up kind of scenario.
You're wrecked.
You're kind of screwed. You're not making it out. They're going to win. It's just a matter of how long you're going to suffer.
They know where you are.
A nuclear war. I mean, right? If
I think
if you're outside the blast zone, I think you're
if
good.
you could be if you could be in your own bunker and you
Right,
had
that's right.
food and
Which
you had
you-
water,
That means
Right.
you'd have to have a
And-
bunker that is the correct amount of depth and what?
lead line. I mean, right? You need
Yeah.
and then
Right.
food stored up.
let's
I mean,
just let's
they sell those
say
now.
you're
They
married
sell
to a
'em.
scientist, and
Yeah.
then they have it all figured out.
they sell those things, and you
Do
go.
you guys have this all figured out? Georgia. We'll bleep this all. But like, hey, you
Yeah.
guys got a bunker
No, we're
down
working
here?
it. We're working on it. Don't tell anyone.
This is all
Um,
bleeped. It's getting cut. Don't worry.
You have the, you kind of go through it.
I think if it could be, I hate to say it, but if it could be like the COVID quarantine where
Like a disease,
where
contagion.
you do have the food, you
Right,
do
right.
have food, you have your board games, and like if that could be the way it is, it wouldn't be so bad,
Right. Yeah. No,
Right?
I think
I
right.
mean, you just get
Right,
I
right,
mean-
right. You stay away from other people. I mean, you kind of have your own little group. And right, the disease model, you might make it. The problem is just catching it. Like, when are you aware that the disease is out there
Right.
and what it is? Because you could already be screwed before it starts. Like, you could be out the game before you even knew you were in the game, right?
Right.
You know,
And at
you're-
least with the
that's,
zombies, like, look at Shaun
Yeah.
of the Dead.
Yeah.
They ended up just giving the zombies some work to do.
yeah, this bumbling.
Hey,
yeah.
look at this one's pushing shopping carts. Hey, don't you
Right,
bite
right.
me. It's like,
Yeah. So, like, vampires, I think also it's interesting.
you're just wrecked.
I mean, right, you're probably going to become
It
a vampire.
depends. I mean,
or you're
depends
going to be
on-
farmed,
Yeah.
right? Like
Okay,
in a passage,
it also
right? Not
depends
living
on
farms.
like what
Yep.
kind of vampire, because there are some
What
that
kind
are.
of vampire? I don't
I
know.
don't know. There's vampires that might not be as
Yeah, like the
bad as
psychic
other
vampires.
ones.
They'll just drain you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Be
that's
so
true,
boring.
right? I
That
see.
are
Yeah,
suave,
yeah.
like.
Yeah, but they still need to eat. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, you also get the true blood
Yeah.
vampires that are just trying to wreck
Yeah.
your booty.
well, all right. Let's keep this a
I
little.
PG'd that so hard.
All right, Meteor, I think I mean, you might make it. I mean, it depends on where you're at. It's all there. Alien invasion, you're screwed. It's like the AI. I think you're screwed. If the aliens are coming here and we can take them down, then they weren't worth coming here. They shouldn't get.
Which
They're probably running
already
away.
did
I mean,
their
they're probably
research,
running
like-
from some sort of other dominant alien species and got into their spaceship and crash land here, and we take care of alienation. That was the idea there, and then somebody's coming to get them. Yeah, so I don't know. The one I would live through. I guess I'm gonna keep going back to, the disease one. I agree, but out of all of them, I would go with climate change. We were already making it. We're doing it right now.
Yeah, but once they go Daffodil
You're not
level,
gonna, I don't think you're going to, I mean, I think what happens there, it's not going to be as extreme as that. And there's probably places you can live
but
and
we're
get
going with
to.
apocalyptic versions.
I mean, you're right.
like,
I guess you're right. Yeah. But
you
it still
can't
made
just
it
go
out.
with
If you're
turned down
smart about the
version.
whole thing, you could make it out. Right? Just don't go outside. Don't follow some police officer who has no clue. It's like someone's like, hey, my dad's a climatologist. He says stay here and light the fireplace up. No, you know what? I watched a Nova episode. I'm gonna go, trek across New York and the freezing food. It's like, and everyone's like, yeah, let's follow that guy. Because he seems to know. This guy said his dad was a climatologist. We just talked to him, and they said, stay inside.
I have an uncle
I mean-
who used to work for Nintendo.
Really? I'm all excited. Like, really?
Yeah.
I wanted to guess. That's exciting. How come you haven't mentioned this before in another episode? Because we haven't done a Nintendo episode yet.
Oh god, that one's gonna be over.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with the
what is that, like the slow death?
Climate change? Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Like, what is that parable about the toads?
The boiling water, right? You have the toads in there chilling. That's kind of what I think of.
Well,
and
I
they
guess
turn
we
the heat
can
on. Right.
just
that's
live
right.
in ignorant bliss.
Well, maybe not. So, I mean, to kind of wrap it up, the other thing was this term apocalyptic optimism. It's kind of this idea that things are, we just see everything that's grim, but maybe let's look at it through a different lens and how we're actually trying to fix things or make things right. And so there was a PBS docuseries called A Brief History of the Future, and it came out a little bit ago. And so I'll be checking that out. And I think it has these uplifting, optimistic stories in it that maybe we can prevent the apocalypse from happening.
I mean,
right?
In Endgame, they had Avengers.
I know what you're talking about.
Oh,
trust me, you know what you're talking about.
You just had this confused look on your face.
I don't know where you're going. I'm like letting you get there. I was just like,
after Thanos
motivation.
snapped,
right?
It had all these climate.
Right.
But it helped the climate.
But we had this. I still think it hurt a lot too.
I don't think it did.
I think
it might have hurt the economy a little bit.
No,
but
I think you pushed some species into extinction. If you were already there on the brink, and then you take half away, because every species got impacted equally.
Okay.
He didn't separate it.
I think we need to table this discussion.
Is this one for another episode? Where we just talk about Avengers movie?
I think that's.
We're talking. I mean, it was an apocalyptic event. The snap. I have it on my list.
But yeah, like it helped.
I didn't know.
It did help a lot of nature, though.
But it hurt a lot of nature too.
Well, see, that's the point. Like that show, Life Without People. If you if you're not people, if you're not a human being, it's like, things are actually better without people. And so we're looking at it through the lens of being a person. You know what I'm saying? So, but overall, in general, it would probably be better for the earth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, humans are parasites to the earth. Like, it's essentially what it is. But,
so,
that was a...
We wrap up just any favorite pieces of media, book? You got Twilight Zone already?
I like video games. That's where...
Like, so do you like Fallout?
I do.
The Fallout series
it's been one of the ones that I've played for the longest amount of time. I mean, they've also had more games than a lot of other series I've played, but The Last of Us is hands down one of my favorite series that I've played because it has such a great storytelling, and I think the second one got a little bit more hate than it should have. But the show did such justice to it. I was so happy with it.
Yeah, that's good. A book that's worth a read, and it's a non-zone, but The Stand by Stephen King. And I mentioned
or the reread.
Reread it. Yeah, no, I think it touches on a lot of things we talked about.
I think I'm more than halfway.
You're halfway. Yeah, you're there.
And I've been reading it for about 2 years now.
Go read about Captain Trips. Captain Trips there.
It's okay. You're probably further along than I am with Dune.
It is actually really good.
Yeah, and it covers a lot of topics: humanity, people banding together. You have a lot of those elements, and then and he went through how society breaks down after you move key people from different functions, because some of the apocalypse is going to be that things will stop working, and then who knows how to make those things work.
Right. Well, you go back to Max Brooks. Wasn't that his story where suddenly the carpenters and the homemakers and the people that can actually make things and do things.
Yeah, when they started the camps.
Then those were the people that were valued, and you realize, how important
the movie
those
stars,
things
the politicians who didn't know how to grow anything or make anything, they were devalued in the community. And folks who actually knew how to make things, they were the superstars. So it was like, oh, you know how to do that? Yep.
So go make things.
Yeah, learn how to make things.
Make art, do crime.
Make coffee.
Fight people.
Coffee, drink beer. All right.
Well, one last question for you guys.
Oh.
How much do you trust your fellow human? Do you trust them enough to help you through the apocalypse?
I trust you guys. You're in my bunker. You're in my bunker, Nick. You and your fam. Come on down. My fam's in the bunker. Yeah,
yeah, it's just
you're right.
how much of a humanist are you going to be during an apocalypse?
I think if you lose that though, then
Right,
what
that's right.
is there worth?
That's right. You might as well be a
know what I mean?
vampire then.
All right. Well, Joe, I think that was a really good episode.
Yeah, I think it worked. Apocalypse. Wow.
It's something that we're going to end up having to
Wow.
come back to.
I think I think it's something we can touch
Well,
on.
I think there's
lot
lots
of
of
topics.
different
A
elements.
lot of rabbit holes we kind of stopped and then we kind of backtracked out of some of the holes. But yeah, I think this is it. So I am Joe. We got Nick. We got Georgia.
And we went down some holes.
Indeed we did. Stay safe out there in your bunker.